Hey everybody, it's Myra. I get asked pretty often actually by people who are just starting to join the goth subculture what I guess goth stereotype that they fit into. And honestly, all I have to say is I have no idea at all. Especially if I haven't known you for a while and I have no idea what you're interested in. I have absolutely no clue where you're gonna fit into, and neither does anyone else. The only person who can make that decision is you. So, when it comes down to it, you've probably found interest in certain things throughout your life leading up to this point. If you're interested in older things, like history-wise, or antiques, or just the styles from long ago, you might be interested in, like, being a part of the Victorian goth scene, or, like, traditional goth, if you like the 80s and stuff like that. If you're interested in more, like, futuristic stuff, possibly post-apocalyptic, that would be industrial goth or even cyber goth. If you're interested in more modern stuff, or if you're really into like fashion and runway stuff, you might be interested in new goth or pastel goth, things that are really popular right now. But no one can tell you that you're going to fit into those areas. That's something that you have to determine for yourself. And honestly, no one is going to care which stereotype you put yourself into. The only people that might care are other goth people. I've never, ever had just a non-goth person on the streets come up to me and be like, hey, what goth stereotype are you? Because honestly, they don't, most of the time they don't realize that there are subgenres in goth. They just think that we're one thing. And that's honestly kind of cool because I don't want to have to explain more than I already have to, walking around in like giant platforms and stuff. So that's always great. But when you label yourself as part of a goth stereotype, that probably means that you're going to be around that stereotype more. You're going to surround yourself in stuff from that stereotype. And that's all great, that's fantastic, but there are those elitist goths that think that they're better than everyone else and that they can shame you for not knowing certain things about the goth subculture. Especially people who label themselves as traditional goths because they assume that they know everything from when goth started. So just look out for that. Don't try to label yourself too quickly, because that's how you're going to end up getting made fun of, unfortunately. I'm not trying to be mean, and I'm not trying to sway you away from anything, but if you immediately jump into a subculture and label yourself as that, people from that group are going to assume that you know what everything there is to know about that subculture or stereotype. And when they find out that you don't, they might make fun of you for it, and they might call you a poser or say rude things to you that they probably shouldn't. The best way to avoid that is to do your research. There's no reason to try to jump into anything. I believe that if you are a goth, deep down, you were born a goth, and you always will be. I don't find it a phase. I've been dressing like this since probably 5th grade, since I was allowed to. I remember being in 3rd grade and walking into Hot Topic for the first time and seeing a pair of platform Demonia boots, and I thought that they were the most glorious thing that I had ever seen. And I was begging my parents for them for like years, and then of course I didn't get them, but I finally got them when I was, what, 14 or something, freshman year of high school, I don't know. They were fantastic and totally worth the wait. But my point is, goth isn't a phase. If you're goth, and you know that you're goth, and you're trying to get into the scene, you know, it's not going to matter how long it takes for you to figure out what you are exactly. You know, you're going to have all the time in the world to figure it out. So, as long as you know, like, on the inside that that's what you want, it's not going to matter how long it takes. You'll get there eventually. Other than that, all I can say is just take your time, you know, do your research, see what works for you, and it's going to feel like it works. It's going to just perfectly fit into who you are. And you're not just going to fit into one stereotype. You're going to fit into multiple, because that's just how people work. People are attracted to multiple things. People don't want to put themselves into a box, you know. It's not possible for that to happen. Even if you don't want to admit it, you are always attracted to other things. And so you may be really, really interested in the attire of one stereotype, but some days you might dress as a different stereotype. It's just gonna work like that. So that's another reason why I say take your time before labeling yourself as something, because it's really rare for someone to actually be only attracted to one stereotype of goth if you're in the goth scene, you know. So anyway, blah, 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 blah. I love that I can edit now because I can just sit here in silence and think of what I want to say next and just edit it out.
Why'd you not be able to edit this one?
Why wouldn't I?
It's just a joke.
Oh, okay. You may end up wavering through different stereotypes of goth over quite a long period of time. I know I've done that, and there's nothing wrong with that. People's tastes change, and just because you go from one stereotype of goth to another, it doesn't mean you're not goth. It just means that you're growing, you're changing. That's something that's going to happen no matter what. Like, I used to dress like this when I was a freshman. And then I dressed like this when I was a sophomore and junior. And now I look like this. And I don't regret any of it. I mean, I feel like I've just gotten a lot lazier with how I dress now. I look back and I see how many pairs of tights I was wearing and how many belts I was wearing, and I used to wear a corset every single day for 2 years. And it wasn't a good corset either. It was a really horrible, painful, plastic-boned $16 corset. It did not feel good. And I wore those things, and I took a long time to do my makeup and hair every single day. But that's what I wanted then. And, you know, that's who I was then. And now I will wake up in the morning, spend maybe 20 minutes on my hair and makeup, and just put a comfy skirt on with probably a tank top and a sweater, and call it good, because as long as it's black, I don't really care anymore. I just want to be comfortable and kind of just want to look like a witch most of the time. But yeah, don't worry about, you know, going through different genres of, you know, goth attire or whatever. Don't worry about it, because that's just how it's gonna end up being. People change, and that's fine. Where was I going after that? I recorded this whole thing when you were going to the bathroom.
I know.
And then I looked at it and I looked terrible, so I'm redoing it. I don't know everything there is to know about being goth. Honestly, I'd probably still be considered a poser to some people. But I just don't care. And that's something that you have to learn to do, is not care. Because it's who you are. It's you. And it shouldn't matter what anyone else thinks. You know, you'll learn in your time. And just ignore everyone else. And being a part of the goth scene, you're going to get a lot of crap from people. You know, people on the street will just assume that you're a mean person, and that really sucks, because then, you know, people like us have to go out of our way to show people that we're not. You know, we have to make sure that we hold the door open for people, and make sure that we always say please and thank you, even if we are in really bad moods, because that's just what people think. Where was I going with that? Anyway, I've started rambling again. So, just do your research. You know, make sure that it's something that you think really, really fits with you before you actually label yourself as a certain stereotype. Stop caring what people think. It doesn't matter. Ignore those elitist goths that think that they know everything, because they don't. No one does. You know, they may know a lot about one thing, but know nothing about, you know, a different stereotype. So, and don't let anyone tell you that you're a certain stereotype, because you probably aren't, and that's just something that they want you to be. There are a ton of stereotypes. I don't even know all of them, honestly. Like, I know maybe, like, a handful, honestly. There are just so many different ones that I'm finding out about. Like, I figured out about bubble goth the other day, and I had no idea what that was. I didn't even know it existed, so there's that. And just have fun with it. I mean, it's something you're going to be a part of for your entire life. It's inside of you. It's who you are. And that sounds so cliche and cheesy, but it's true. You know, it's something that you're going to be living with your entire life. It's kind of like a tattoo. It's just a part of you. So have fun with it and really enjoy it, and just be who you are. Show who you are, and you will figure out exactly where you fit in the whole thing. Alright, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next week.